All right, let's jump right in. Today we're exploring a side of Python that literally bridges the gap between, basic beginner syntax and bulletproof professional-grade code. We're shifting away from making code that just barely works to building software that actually survives the messy, completely unpredictable real world. So by the end of this explainer, you're going to walk away with a brand new toolkit for writing truly unbreakable software. Here's our roadmap for today. First, we'll look at the app crash crisis. Then, error handling, or managing 10,000 employees. After that, we'll get into the magic of modules. And finally, we'll cap it all off by building our very own JokeBot.
Section 1. The App Crash Crisis.
Okay, let's start with a scenario we've all unfortunately experienced. You're clicking around a website, everything's fine, and suddenly, bam! The whole thing just freezes or completely breaks. Now think about this for a second. When a user types their name into a box that specifically asks for a phone number and the entire website goes down, whose fault is that? I mean, is it the user for not following simple instructions or the developer? It's so natural to want to blame the user who typed letters into a calculator, right?
Well, actually, no. The source material is incredibly clear on this. It is your responsibility that the program runs. It is never the user's fault. You just can't assume you'll have perfectly behaved users. Your software needs to be an absolute fortress. It has to handle bad inputs or sudden internet drops without totally collapsing.
And this comparison perfectly illustrates the difference. Without error handling, a Python crash throws a giant, intimidating block of red text and completely stops your program dead in its tracks. Nobody wants that. But with error handling, it's like Discord. If you type a fake URL, it doesn't crash their entire server infrastructure. Instead, it catches the error and elegantly shows a custom 404 not found page. The app just keeps on running perfectly. And that is exactly our goal here.
Moving on to Section 2, managing 10,000 employees. Let's see how we actually build that Discord-level safety net in our own scripts. Think of your code as a workforce. Literally, if you write 10,000 lines of code, you basically have 10,000 employees. Now imagine you hire someone just to send a WhatsApp message. If the internet goes down, you absolutely do not want that employee collapsing on the floor in tears, halting your entire company's operations. You want them to politely leave a note saying it failed and just move on. Your code is exactly the same way.
To prevent that kind of chaos, Python gives us this lifesaver called the try and accept block. It allows us to instruct our code to attempt a task, but with a built-in backup plan if things go sideways. So instead of blindly commanding the computer to just do this, we're saying, hey, try to do this. And if it doesn't work, we immediately provide an accept clause, which is basically a fallback instruction.
Here's the actual flow of that logic. First, Python enters the try block. If everything goes perfectly, great, it skips the rest entirely. But if something breaks, say a user types text into a math equation, it instantly jumps to step 2, catching that specific error. Then, step 3 executes a safe backup plan, keeping those 10,000 digital employees happily working instead of shutting down the whole factory.
We can actually prepare our workforce to catch highly specific issues. Like, if a user tries to divide by 0, we catch a 0 division error. If they type a name instead of a number, we catch a value error. And if the universe just inexplicably breaks, well, we use a massive catch-all bucket called exception as E to catch literally everything else. Boom! 0 crashes guaranteed.
All right, Section 3, the magic of modules.
So now that our foundation is completely earthquake-proof, let's talk about organizing a massive code base. Imagine if a book was just one giant, never-ending piece of paper. It'd be unreadable, right? Imagine trying to find one specific scene in a 500-page book that had no pages and no chapters. Absolute nightmare. In programming, if you write 10,000 lines of code in a single file, a single typo way down at the bottom can make finding the error almost impossible.
That's where modules come in. Modules act as the pages and chapters of your software. So instead of one mega file, we break the app down into bite-sized files. You might have an addition.py just for adding, and subtraction.py just for subtracting. These individual files are your modules. Then you have a main.py file that simply coordinates between them. It isolates errors and keeps the whole shebang incredibly clean.
By separating functions into their own files, we can easily pull specific logic right into our main application. If we want the whole file, we just type import greetings. But if we only need one specific tool from it, we write from greetings import say hello. It's exactly like importing goods in the real world. You bring in exactly what you need right when you need it. No more, no less.
And here's the best part. You don't even have to write all these modules yourself. Python comes with prefabricated blocks right out of the box. Take the math module, for example. Instead of manually coding the value of pi to calculate the area of a circle, you simply write import math. Then you just use math.pi multiplied by the radius squared. Instant, accurate calculations, powered by thousands of lines of code that Python engineers already wrote for you. It's a total game changer.
Which brings us to Section 4, building a joke bot.
We've mastered preventing crashes, and we know how to organize our code. Now for the fun part. Let's build a smart, responsive application. We are going to build a simple chatbot in 3 distinct steps. First up, we store our text blocks, a joke, and an apology message inside variables. Second, we use Python's built-in input function to actively ask the user, "What do you want?" And finally, we evaluate their answer.
This single line of logic is basically the brain of our bot. It scans whatever the user typed to see if our magic word is present, allowing us to deliver the joke or fall back to an apology if they asked for something completely different. Notice we aren't asking if the user only typed the word joke. By saying if joke in user input, the bot triggers whether the user types tell me a joke, I want a joke, or literally just joke. If that word is missing, say they ask, what time is it, the bot gracefully falls back to the apology variable, saying something like, sorry, I only tell jokes. It doesn't crash. It just handles the unexpected input perfectly. So, you now have the ultimate toolkit. You know exactly how to stop those dreaded red text crashes using try and except, and you can manage a sprawling codebase using modules. You are now effectively managing an army of 10,000 digital employees that won't panic when things go wrong. So, I leave you with this thought. Armed with this unbreakable architecture, what amazing application are you going to build next?